on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kevin Jackowitz. This is the Kaged Review, and this is going to round out my series of X-Men movie reviews. We have come to the last one so far, which is X-Men Dark Phoenix. And this was at the same time that Fox was being bought by Disney, and we weren't even sure if this movie was going to be released for a while. And we now know that they are actually going to release New Mutants 2 as a Disney property. But as of right now, this is the last movie, and this was the big send-off for the X-Men series as we've known it for 20 plus years. And I've always said X-Men, the movie, is kind of the granddaddy of them all when it comes to the comic book genre movie. I feel like it really set the tone, and based on that success, we see what has become. And I think it really all started with the X-Men franchise. So I was really hoping for big things because X-Men 3, The Last Stand, was really, really bad. And it really focused around Dark Phoenix, or at least the Phoenix and Jean Grey. And it kind of failed miserably. So you have Simon Kinberg, who is written for a lot of the X-Men movies, takes on his directorial debut in this movie. And it shows. It was a very, very poorly put together movie. It was very choppy. The pacing was very bad. It got very dull at points. Some of the conversations were not interesting at all. And they did a very traditional like pan when it comes to focusing on the people when they're talking. It was really choppy and didn't work very well. But there were other issues with this movie that went way beyond that, went way beyond how you cut frames or how you position cameras or tell the story, the writing involved. Some of the things they did with some of the characters just really betrayed who the characters were. James McAvoy as Charles Xavier, Professor X, they really kind of betrayed who we've known Professor X to be for, 7 or 8 movies now? And all of a sudden he's kind of doing some very questionable things with Jean Grey and trying to keep her consciousness at bay and trying to keep the Phoenix away. And just really, really was not nice. And so I'm going to go down the rest of the cast real quick. Obviously, James McAvoy is Charles Xavier, Professor X. Sophie Turner as Jean Grey Phoenix. I thought Sophie Turner did a great job. She has a very good emotional range, and I think that she had to play on a lot of that emotional range in this movie. She went from one set of emotions to another very quickly, and I think that she really did fine with it. Michael Fassbender is Eric Lancher, Magneto. Jennifer Lawrence is Raven Darkholme, Mystique, who has obviously been kind of done with this character, and it shows. So it is what it is there. Nicholas Hoult is Hank McCoy Beast. Ty Sheridan is Scott Summers Cyclops. Alexander Shipp is Aurora Monroe Storm. Evan Peters comes back as Peter Maximoff Quicksilver. You have Cody Schmidt-McPhee as Kurt Wagner or Nightcrawler. And Jessica Chastain comes in as Volk. And one of the things that the X-Men series has done, especially in the latter movies, is take a great actor and reduce them to a just poor role. They did it with Oscar Isaac, and now they're doing it with Jessica Chastain. She's supposed to be this alien race, kind of an influencer on Jean Grey after she gets her power, which kind of goes against everything that we know about the end of X-Men Apocalypse, which was the movie before this, where she fully displayed her Phoenix powers. But apparently she just gets those powers in this movie, so somehow she lost them. But yeah, Jessica Chastain is a very bland character in this movie as Volk and just really adds nothing. She's in the movie quite a bit, and you could have taken all of it out, and it probably would have been a better movie for it. They did wind up doing a lot of reshoots where they decided to add a big train sequence at the end where there was a lot of special effects and a little bit more gravity to the end of it. But at that point, you're talking the third act. It's too little, too late. The rest of the movie was very poorly done. And in a movie like this, Dark Phoenix, it's kind of the send-off for the X-Men series. You expect a lot of big deaths, a lot of casualties, something that has a moment that's like, damn, dude. And you really didn't get that. You just did not get that. You had one moment where one character, Mystique, died. So at the beginning of the movie, Jean Grey is having kind of a fit, and she causes a car wreck with her parents in it. Her mother winds up dying, and she thinks her father died too. But she finds out later in this movie that her father is actually still alive, and she just hasn't been able to talk to him or contact him. So she goes to his house and finds out that he just really didn't want anything to do with her after that incident. And so there's a lot of conflicting emotions there, and that's when the X-Men team show up with Mystique, who is trying to get through to Jean Grey, and Jean Grey releases burst of emotional energy and winds up accidentally killing Mystique. And the moment itself when Mystique gets killed, Hank McCoy goes over there. He's really emotional. Professor X, the guy who finds Mystique in his house, the guy who helps raise Mystique, as he put it, the guy who considers him a big brother to her or whatever, literally no emotion in that scene whatsoever. You get a little fucking watery eyes, and then that's it, dude. And I'm like, that was the biggest anticlimax you could possibly have made for that moment. It was just very poorly done. There were some things that were the saving grace. Like I said, the special effects, like the train sequence in the third act that they did all the reshoots with, that was kind of a saving grace for the movie. The acting from a few of the people in here was as good as it's always been. Sophie Turner, like I said, was great. James McAvoy, even though what they gave him wasn't always great, he did great with what he was given. Same with Michael Fassbender. Jennifer Lawrence was just, like I said, she was done and it showed. So those were really the only saving graces for this movie. I don't know if it was worse than X-Men Origins Wolverine. I might put it even with that as far as how bad those movies were together. This movie had very little for plot structure, some bad dialogue, some bad shooting, just everything about this was bad. So it's very hard for me to grade this. I'm probably going to give it a 4 out of 10. And that only because of the acting of some of the actors in here and the end sequence. So 4 out of 10, that's where I'm at with it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz, Kaged Nation, out.